Yes, this is Mr. Controversy, and this is the infamous three-point conversion station. Keep it locked.
From coast to coast, representing all the dog pound, with a third straight victory celebration, this is the BrownsTownUSA podcast, powered by the three-point conversion. The three-point conversion where fans' opinions matter, even if you're a Bengals fan. I'm Eric, and over there is LA. LA!
Well, hello. LA brought us in the building. And I'm not sure, man, if we care about what the Bengals think, but I digress. Anywho, man, you know what, Eric, real quick, man, before we hop into it, I'm just kind of getting used to this whole victory week kind of thing. I mean, it kind of feels good, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, it's crazy, but I wish we were doing more of this. I mean, I know that this probably doesn't have the same sentiment, but this kind of feels a lot better than LeBron James hoisting up the trophy.
I cannot get on the same level as you there only because of the fact that, like I said, from Akron, Ohio, born and raised, and when he raised that trophy, it meant something more than just a Cleveland championship. It meant that he definitely been putting on the city of Akron in general, and our city has definitely reaped the benefits. So until I feel like the Browns actually hoist that Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi, then I can get with you there. But as of right now, being at 7-7-1, I can't compare the two just yet. Now, Eric, we just had, of course, Christmas. Christmas was yesterday, and Eric was fortunate enough to take some time out of his busy schedule and link up with your boy and talk a little football before we get into the new year coming up soon. So, Eric, I want to know, man, and I know the people out there want to know, what'd you do for Christmas?
For Christmas this year, well, it started off with just having breakfast at this establishment that you see on your screen right now, and then obviously before all that even started, we opened gifts. Got me a brand new Baker Mayfield jersey, actual dog pound jersey. Got me some new Red Sox stuff, including three one of those Sox packs they have, which lets you go to 3 games, 4 tickets each behind home plate. So excited about that.
Nice.
How about you, man? What have you been doing? What did you do for the Christmas season?
Man, what I did for Christmas is, kind of just sat back, laid back for a little bit. Stayed up super duper late the night before, just watching movies, music movies actually, documentaries, James Brown, just things like that, and learned a lot. I even got a chance to check out the Tupac documentary, All Eyes on Me. Definitely went behind the scenes, and it was an overall great movie. That and James Brown took some life nuggets from it. So definitely had a good time doing that. Slept in, of course. Woke up to food being cooked. However, your boy is on a cleanse right now, and
God, you're one of those.
Yep, I am one of them. My health has been a concern, these past couple months or so. So I had to do something. So I'm on a cleanse, and I chose to do that right before Christmas. So while everybody else was snacking on the ham and the macaroni and cheese and the greens and all that, your boy was over here sipping on a smoothie and some water. So,
come on.
Yeah, I know, but had to be done. So, other than that, man, got a chance to hang out with family. This is my first Christmas being up here in Ohio, so in a long time. So, just to get back around the family was a good thing.
That's good to hear, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, real quick, while we're talking about Christmas, man, our boy Baker Mayfield had the best tweet out there for Christmas, and he actually came out and wished the Cleveland family a Merry Christmas. And then he also said, a Merry Christmas to even Cowlin Cowherd. Now, Eric, before we move on, man, and get into some football talk, I just want to see what were your thoughts and opinions, when we posted that in the Brownstown USA group on Facebook. By the way, make sure you join. Shameless plug right there. But what did you think about Baker Mayfield's tweet there?
Good. I'm sorry, but the whole thing is Baker Mayfield's played his ass off. Let's be honest here. I mean, no disrespect to any of the other young quarterbacks, other than maybe Patrick Mahomes and Goff. There has not been a quarterback that has done as much for their team as Baker has. I mean, no disrespect to say to Deshaun Watson, but it's easy to win when you have the talent that he has. And let's be honest, he's got a lot of talent around him. He's got a great defense. So no disrespect to them. No disrespect for Carson Wentz, but the Eagles have shown repeatedly they can win without him. And honestly, Trubisky, I love him. I wanted him in Cleveland at one point, but I'm not ready to buy into this yet right now. I mean, again, he's got some pretty good talent around him. So it makes you question it. Baker has decent talent. He doesn't have anyone of their star quality. He doesn't have that Howard. He doesn't have a Lamar Miller. He doesn't have a DeAndre Hopkins. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what? Even though I wouldn't compare, and this is kind of going a little bit to the side, but even though I wouldn't compare DeAndre to Jarvis, by no means. Remember, Jarvis just came off of a season where he led the league in receptions and was breaking records for receptions. So, I mean, it's good to have a reliable wide receiver like that. Also, I'm taking Chubb over Lamar Miller right now, to be honest with you. We have some things to get into when it comes to what happened during that Bengals game and some records that was broken and are set to be broken. But I'm taking Chubb right now over Lamar Miller. So I honestly feel like Baker is in a team that is definitely built around him. Great defense. Remember, we're in the top 5 as far as turnovers right now. And even though we give up yardage, it's that bend don't break type of mentality for Greg Williams. So when I seen the tweet by Baker, I thought it was hilarious. However, we're always going to have negative opinions. Another thing that I'm going to get into with you before after we come back from break, though, is just the negative hecklers and everything around Baker and what our opinions are. But, the hecklers for this one is, man, Baker needs to leave it alone or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Colin comes on this show probably every single day and make sure he has a Baker segment. So for Baker to come out and say Merry Christmas to Colin, I think it's just all in good fun. And, I think it's hilarious. But I do have something really, really big that I actually forgot to write down and share with you, but it just came to mind. So what we're going to do is take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Baker and him staring down Hugh Jackson on the way to a victory over those Bengals. This is Brownstown USA. We will be right back.
I was high on the Browns before the season, so I'll take a mullet again. No, wait, I don't have to because the Browns are really good. I said before the season they'll win 8 games. I'm not sure if they'll do that at the end of this week, and we'll find out. But I'm going with the Browns, though. They have the talent. They have the city that is rallying around them, that is thirsty for a good team. And guess what? You got one. If this young group of talented players can do what they did this year at 7-7-1 right now going into the last week, just imagine what they're going to do next year when they know they're talented. This year, they kind of didn't know what they didn't know. They had a coach get fired, coordinator get fired, and they're sitting around there trying to figure out what's going on. Now they know what's going on. The Browns are good again, and they're going to be in the top 10 next year.
And we are back. It's Brownstown USA. holiday edition. Just got done with Christmas. Now we are approaching our new year. And it's, you know how a lot of people say, Eric, new year, new me. It's new year, new Browns. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm feeling right now. New year, new Browns. So, Eric, what I want to talk to you about real fast before we get into more breaking down that Bengals game is Baker had a sequence, and it's posted in BrownsTownUSA on Facebook. Make sure you check out the group, join it, answer the questions, right, people? Please. And make sure you follow us on Twitter and our brand new page on Instagram as well, BrownsTownUSA. So, Eric, Baker tried it down the sideline, stared down Hugh Jackson, even backpedaled, still staring him down, gave him that smile and wink head nod on his way to beating the Bengals for the second time this season. A lot of people didn't like it, okay? And a touchy subject that came up in talking about it was race, okay? Basically, they compared to what Baker is doing. And guys, if you don't know, me, LA, I'm African American. Eric is Caucasian. So you're going to get a perspective from both sides of the equation here. And I know this can be a little touchy, but I think we are the two that can bring it to you and bring it real for you. Eric, I was approached and was told that Baker doing that and doing what he has done as far as calling Hugh Jackson fake and all this other stuff, that he is being celebrated for being cocky or not being celebrated for being cocky, but it is being looked at as, oh, you know, he's just confident, you know, this, that, and the other. However, the comparison is that if a Cam Newton did this and say Hugh Jackson was white or whatever, they felt that that Cam Newton would have been dragged through the mud. I wanted to get your perspective on this as far as is Baker going too far with his trolling of Hugh Jackson? Is it too much now?
You know, all things considered, I don't think so at all. I mean, look, he didn't troll. I mean, everyone's acting like he's done nothing but taunt Hugh since he was fired. There was only the 2 or 3 incidents, though. I mean, I'll be honest. I thought what he did on in the first meeting was actually worse, to be honest. The whole thing and the whole not shaking hands or any of that stuff. Look, I feel that's worse than just doing what he did on the sideline there. I mean, look, there is a history there. Baker Mayfield has become sort of for lack of a better word, the ambassador of Cleveland. And you've seen him take on this role almost. So, with all that being said, he knows that Hugh Jackson was kind of, for lack of a better word, cancerous to the team because of all the stuff that happened. Hell, within the first week we already saw that happen because the one thing nobody's mentioning is the fact that Jackson essentially threw the whole team under the bus a couple nights after he was fired, and then right afterwards, no, I didn't mean it like that, I didn't mean it like... The damage was done, though, but nobody wants to bring that up because Baker Mayfield, he's too young and no. As for the racial thing about it, I don't think that's the case at all, to be honest. Look, if the roles were reversed, I don't think his name would have been dragged through the mud because we've seen other quarterbacks call out their former coaches before. We've seen it happen. I'm trying to think of one example because I believe Cam Newton's had Ron Rivera his whole career. Same thing with like a Russell Wilson, but I know it's been done. I think actually Michael Vick might have actually done it back when he was playing.
Yeah, I want to say, if I'm thinking correctly, I don't know if it was coach per se, but I know that Donovan McNabb was very vocal as well. As far as looking at it from my perspective, I can see where people are coming from. But then again, we live in a day and age that everything is touchy-feely. Everything can be warped or, looked at as a certain way, racial, sexist, LGBT. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff going on, and everything is extremely touchy and sensitive right now. So
keep in mind, we just came off the heels of a holiday that saw a song get banned because,
right.
Yeah, you know exactly which song for those listening. I mean,
yeah. Between that and between the fact that I even seen like some people coming after certain Christmas specials talking about, oh my gosh, do you understand what it really means? And I mean, it's just it's big, and it's just something that's gonna be there. I feel, Eric, personally, that I don't mind the taunting of Hugh this year. Okay, now if this goes into next year, where we're still going outside of ourselves to make sure that we go after Hugh or, handing them balls if you intercept them, whatever like that, then I would say, okay, that's too much. You know what I'm saying? Because this year he left, we turned it around, and then we beat the Bengals and beat him twice in a row. Competitive juices is flowing. I feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like if we go past this year and it still continues, then yeah, now we can start looking at it as slightly excessive there. So
yeah, I mean, it sucks, but the fact of the matter is, at the same time, it's just maybe we are taking it a bit too far, maybe we're not. It's really up to interpretation, but the fact is, I do think that some people might be interpreting it and reading into it a little too much at times, because this. And keep in mind, this is also the people that, and these are also people that were saying he was immature for doing other stuff as well. I mean, but yet nobody wants to talk about, like, all the charity work that he's been doing. Like when he did the shopping day at Target for all the poor kids, pretty much.
Yeah. Dang, I think I lost my thought that quick. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, like I said, if it spans past this year, whatever. But I think it was a lot to be said there behind the scenes that I think didn't even come out. And the reason why, certain players and stuff are so, it was so upset. I mean, from the optics, we can look at it, oh, you needed another job, this, that, and the other. But I think it was a lot more that hasn't come out yet. And that we'll figure out later on. Also, too, is we have not seen something like that in our QB position, I don't think ever, okay? Or in a very, very long time. So the thing is that it's making Cleveland people excited because of the fact that we have somebody that's not going to back down, that's going to look adversity in the face and continue on. You know what I mean? Also, too, another thing that came up from that game is the near fight that we got into once Baker got tackled out of bounds. A couple of people have came out and said that they've never seen that. Our good friends over at CBD, Cleveland Browns Daily, with Nathan Zagura, Bo Bishop, and all of them, they said, they was like, man, you know what? We have never seen where a quarterback has gotten defended that quickly, that fast, or just at all. I know Bo Bishop even brought up a fact of that there was a play when Johnny Manziel played for us, and the guy basically, like, ripped off Johnny Manziel's, like, face mask almost, like, ripped him. I think I remember that, too. But nobody came over to defend Johnny at all, or, everybody's just like, okay, didn't even help him up or anything. So just for everybody just to be able to jump on board and be standing behind Baker that strong, yeah, you may not like it if you're outside looking in, but if it works for that locker room, it works for that locker room.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, and this goes even back to the whole Sashi Brown era. Trust me, I know that it sucks to always bring up Sashi Brown nowadays.
It
just
does.
Because, well, he didn't build fantastic teams. But the one thing I will give him credit for is, with the very few players that are left from those teams, a lot of them are actual teammates is the thing. Like, you're seeing Higgins stand up for Baker. You're seeing Batonio. You're seeing all these Zeitler, Treader. All of them are sticking up for Baker, which is a beautiful thing when you get down to it. I mean, a few years ago, you had people like Mitchell Schwartz, who good player, but at the same time, you didn't know if he actually wanted to stay in Cleveland. He keeps saying he did, but it's a question of do you buy it or not? Same thing with Alex Mack, who the thing is, if you remember, they bolted for more money almost immediately.
Which I never ever question a player for getting their paycheck. So, and it could happen possibly this year as well. Like I said, once we, conclude this week's game, we'll get into our Brownstown off season and talk about the free agents and all that other good stuff. But look, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we are going to talk Bengals. We're going to talk the Bengals game, our thoughts on it, what we saw from it, and some pretty cool records that was broken during this game, and also some records that we're getting close to. So I'm LA, and across from me is Eric as always, and this is Brownstown USA that you're listening to. We will be right back.
What up, sports fans? It's your boy Damian Adams from The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Now, you can catch my show weekly here on the 3-Point Conversion station. I'm always bringing that real sports talk for the real sports fan. But if you're hearing my voice right now, that means you're living life correctly, because you're listening to Brownstown with my man LA and Eric. Make sure you stay tuned. Tell your friends about the show, because they're bringing that real for you, that knowledge for you here on Brownstown.
And we are back, Brownstown USA. And we just got done talking about some very good things, to get the conversation and the blood and the juices flowing. But now we need to get into this Bengals game, man. The Bengals, we took them on. We beat them, swept them for the first time in a long time, actually. And we seen a record that was broken, and then we seen a record that we're getting close to breaking. Eric, what besides the records that we'll get into in a second, what did you see from this Bengals game that you liked and something that you disliked?
Something I liked is the one thing that I have started to notice. That is, Baker Mayfield's decision-making is starting to get better and better. I mean, he made and early this year, if you remember, he was a little erratic at times. He had his rookie games, but we're starting to see that he's matured and he actually looks like a real pro caliber quarterback. I mean, there's not many quarterbacks that spread the ball around the way that Baker has. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Everyone talks about Patrick Mahomes, but and Patrick's a great quarterback, but that most of the time he's going to one of two places: Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. But Baker, you don't know where he's going to throw it. He'll look Higgins, and then all of a sudden you'll just see him throw to Landry. You'll see, and he's just done a great job with that, especially when it's come down to some of the weird plays that we've had. I mean, not many quarterbacks can have the composure to do that triple option, essentially that triple option reverse pass that we saw Landry do.
Right. And, we swept the Bengals first time since 2002, actually, Eric. So, huge implications there. What is something that you didn't like from the game?
You know where I'm going with this one. That defense, second half, mainly the fourth quarter, because third quarter, stout defense. The fourth quarter, and I could even see you, because I think you were messaging me at one point, just like, dude, we can't keep doing this. The fact is, they're playing conservatively, they're playing a bit too conservatively is the thing, because they're trying to play this bend and not break, which I get, but we were only up by 8 points after just dominating them the entire game. It's like we can't let up like that.
I agree. And in a game that we've seen Baker toss for 284 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions, quarterback rating of QBR of 90, rating of 121.9. We've seen him just get nominated or win, the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. So congratulations to Baker Mayfield on that. Also in the same game, Eric, we seen Nick Chubb rush 19 carries, 112 yards, 5.9 average. Didn't get into the end zone, unfortunately, but he ripped off a couple of runs after being bottled up for pretty much most of the game. Most of our big plays came from, trick plays. The Jarvis Landry throw was a beaut. They dialed it up. Normally on that play is where Jarvis will take it and run, but instead he decided to throw it downfield. And even Perriman wasn't his first read. He wasn't even supposed to go to Perriman, but he was able to connect there on a big play, 63-yarder, I believe it was. Eric, again, we've seen Perriman emerge. We've seen David Njoku get into the end zone. We've seen Rashard Higgins with a big catch. Seen Darren Fells with a big catch. As you said earlier and alluded to, is the fact that Baker does not focus on one key player. I mean, Duke and Rashard both respectively had 6 receptions each. But I feel like it was within the game plan. You don't see him forcing to one person like you would normally see from a rookie quarterback in general. Looking at some of these numbers that I just rattled off at the top of my head, man, who was your player of the game this week? Or last week, sorry.
What was that?
I said or last week, I'm sorry.
My player of the game, Nick Chubb. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, the fact is, as great as the receivers were, the main way you open up the pass game is by running the football. When you can control the run game, you will always win games. That's exactly what he did, and if I remember correctly, I believe that Chubb even outrushed Mixon this week.
Yes, Mixon only had 17 carries for 68 yards, so did a very, very good job on Mixon. I wanted to get into your thoughts on the fact that how you said that the defense, you felt like they kind of took the pedal, the foot off the pedal in the second half. What I seen from there, and like you said, yeah, I did message you and was like, oh boy, here we go. I don't even think it was the fact that we took our foot off the pedal with the scheming or the planning. I feel like there was literally some defensive lapses out there. It was like they kind of got complacent, like they just weren't focused and locked in until they seen the Bengals go on a run, and then they were like, oh, shoot, we could possibly lose this. And then we kind of put the clamps back on. That's not something that we need to see from the Browns just in general, because even though we are talented, you can't do that in the NFL. You can't do that in any sport, actually. As you've seen in the NBA, a lot of times a lot of teams are up big and then they get walked down and get beat. I mean, this still is a professional league no matter who you're facing, even if it is the Bengals. But, this is still a professional league and still professional people with pride on the line. And the Bengals, if there's anything I do tip my hat off to them is the fact that they didn't give up. And Driscoll definitely showed some grit in this game. As far as Driscoll, he put up 13 for 19, so didn't throw as much, but 2 TDs, no interceptions. But we did get to him 3 sacks on him. As far as looking at in the future, I mean, what do you feel like? Are we going to see Andy Dalton back, man? Are they going to shift over to Driscoll? What are you seeing there?
Honestly, it depends who the coach is. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, if Marvin Lewis comes back, maybe we see one more year of Dalton, because Dalton's got the big contract, so they could ultimately cut ties with him. But you got to ask yourself, what else is going to be out there next year? I mean, it isn't like last year where there were a lot of quarterbacks that were available. I mean, obviously, names like Tyrod Taylor came out for trade. You had Teddy Bridgewater available last year, who it seems like he wants to go back to New York either, and most likely with the Giants. We'll have to wait and see, though, although he's got a good deal down in New Orleans right now.
Well, you had your big three last year. Remember we seen that whole QB carousel, Keenum, Cousins, with the trade. We seen Bradford out there. I mean, you're right. There were a lot of big names, and I agree with you. I think Dalton and Marvin Lewis, they're attached at the hip, and they'll go down together. I've seen a report real quickly that Marvin. It seems like the Bengals are giving Marvin the keys basically and saying, hey, whenever you decide that you want to go, that's when you can go. So they're not going to initiate it, which just continues to show how I have no clue what Marvin Lewis has on that ownership, man, because you've seen teams like the Bears, for instance, move on from Lovey when they've always been in some type of playoff contention or above 500, and they moved on from him. Seeing a coach this year like McCarthy get fired, there's some coaches out there, so I'm wondering if this is going to be the year that the Bengals finally move on from Marvin Lewis. But, go ahead.
It's foolish just because, and this is no offense to Bengals fans. No offense, I do not care for your team, but believe me when I say this, it's okay to break up with him if he abuses you. The fact of the matter is, they made the play. And we were actually talking about this at the Christmas breakfast table yesterday, believe it or not. They've made the playoffs 5 years of 16 years he's been there. And do you know how many playoff wins he's had? Yup. No playoff wins. So you got to ask yourself, what are you doing? Like, it's funny because everyone talks about how we should have kept Hugh Jackson just to keep the continuity. That's your future right there if we did that.
Absolutely. Now we're going to take a quick break. Wanted to throw out real quick, though, before we take this break, we seen Chubb break the Browns rookie rushing record, passing Trent Richardson.
Hey, thank God.
Crazy enough, yes, passing Trent Richardson. And he is on his way, I believe, 24 yards away from being at 1K for the season. Also, we've seen Baker get close to the overall rookie passing TD record. He threw for 3 in this game. I believe now he just needs 2 more in order to surpass Peyton Manning.
He needs 2 more to tie, yeah.
2 more to tie? 26, is it?
Yeah, 26 is the records.
Okay, so he needs 27 to break it?
Yep.
Okay, so there you have it. So he needs 3 more in order to do this. So we will talk about that and see if Baker can do it. But we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk about some injury news and some trending off topics a little bit that's going around right now with our Browns. So this is Brownstown USA, powered by the 3-point conversion. We will be right back.
Hell of a job staying together. Okay, first thing we said yesterday. Okay, we're going to win this game. Game ball goes to Bob Wiley. Let's go. So now, we got to get on to the next game, get this cleaned up, but we do it best after a victory Monday. Yes, sir. Let's go. Take a knee. Here we go.
And we are back, Brownstown, USA. And again, we are powered by the 3-point conversion, the 3-point conversion where fans' opinions matter. Make sure you check out the 3-point conversion, the 3pointconversion.com, and the 3-point conversion on all your social media outlets at 3PTCNVRSN. And also want to give a shout out to those boys that's over there doing the 3-point conversion sports lounge. Make sure you check that out every Saturday morning from 10 to 12 on Facebook Live, on YouTube, on radio. I mean, they're just doing it everywhere, so you can catch it everywhere. The 3 Point Conversion Sports Lounge, they talk all sports and have some amazing segments, including the Stop It segment that was made famous by my man, Mr. Controversy, Raphael over there, also the owner of the 3 Point Conversion. So, Eric, we have some injury news to talk about. Of course, the big one. Actually, you know what? I will knock out what I just seen coming through. Let's see. We seen that. Okay, so J.C. Treader, of course, is not practicing like normal. Larry Ogunjobi is not practicing like normal. Tanner Vallejo is not practicing. He's on the bikes. And but the biggest one that we want to talk about here, man, is Denzel Ward going out with a concussion again. This is his second one this year after not having concussions at all in his career. So it's not something that we've seen as a pattern, but we've seen it emerge as a dangerous pattern in the NFL. We've seen also, Eric, that, you know, Greg Williams came out towards the beginning of the season and talked about how Denzel Ward tackles and said that, you know, he needed to tackle below, you know, taking out people's legs and stuff like that because he's not a big guy. But, you know, he's a hard hitter, but he's not a big guy. So, you know, tackling up top, it can hurt him. And so we've seen Greg Williams say that at the beginning of the year. We were critical of Greg Williams for coming out and saying that. A lot of people were. But now it seems like he's on to something here, Eric. How concerned are you with Denzel Ward and these concussions?
You know, my thing is this, and this was a very big topic of discussion going forward with the draft and free agency coming up, but it's a little concerning, mainly because it's something that can be taught. Like, everyone was saying that it means that he's injury-prone. Not really. Look, concussions are not a sign of injury proneness. It's a sign of you're hitting wrong for the most part because you're essentially lowering your helmet and taking the hits. Which, you know what? And that's something that you need to teach and work on. It's not the same thing as like an ACL tear or even a broken leg where that leg has a chance of getting hurt again. So it's not. I am definitely concerned with the growing concussion problems in the league, but I'm not concerned from like that injury prone status that people keep alluding to try to draft another cornerback in the first round.
Absolutely. You know, I think they're going to bring in corners regardless because, again, we know how Dorsey feels about competition, and it doesn't seem like he's really loyal to one guy. Yeah, I mean, of course you have your staple guys like Baker and Myles Garrett and things of that nature, but we've seen how the secondary has been able to sustain throughout all the injuries that we've had in our secondary. And it just is what it is, man. I mean, he's our Pro Bowl corner. I wish him the best. I hope that he does well. Of course, there's Ohio State roots there too, on, you know, why I love him. And, you know, we just hope that that's right, OH. But we just hope that he, you know, he gets well and he can get past this. But I feel like it's time to go ahead and shut him down. No need to rush anything. Just let him heal up, man, get better. And you know, you brought up about, you know, teaching how to tackle and all of that, but we have to realize that these guys have been playing football since they've been little. And so they've known and only seen a certain way on how to tackle. And, I mean, if he's coming into the league doing this and tackling that way, it's going to be hard to break that. Not saying it's impossible, but it will be hard to break that. So, Eric, going into some of the things that's training, of course, we already mentioned Baker, AFC Offensive Player this week. Also, he's up for the Rookie of the Week again, which seems to be, you know, like a formality. Nick Chubb is up for the Rookie of the Week as well, but I think Baker will take this one. the big thing that we've seen, and you brought up a story, so I'll let you tell it, but about Baker being Rookie of the Year compared to Saquon Barkley. So go ahead and let everybody know kind of like what you heard, and we'll go from there.
All right, so do you guys get CBS Sports Network, like the television station? Okay,
Yep.
so didn't know like if it's on your TV package, because I know some places don't have them. But anyways, so I was listening to WFAN 660 on the way home from work this morning. Let's see, what was it? And the show Boomer and Geo was on, the popular morning show here in the New York area, except obviously with the holiday season, they're on vacation. So they had Jerry Recco and John Jastrzemski filling in, and they were talking about Rookie of the Year for offense between Saquon Barkley versus Baker Mayfield. Now, this is, as I said, a New York station. It's out of New York. I don't know exactly what street, so don't ask me. But they're in the New York area, New Jersey, so homerish Giants fans, except Jastrzemski is a Dolphin fan for some reason, but who cares? And they were both of them agreed on this New York station, Baker Mayfield over Saquon Barkley, for the basic reasons of what he's done for the city, how he's electrified it, because of what the position is, because they feel quarterback's the more important role on a team than a running back, and the fact that Baker's essentially fighting a trend that the Browns have had problems with since they've come back, compared to Barkley, who, don't get me wrong, is having a spectacular season, but he's playing a position that essentially was and isn't as major as the quarterback spot, or also he's playing with guys that are established around him.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree. First of all, just what Baker has done to change the culture, that's kind of what you want to see a quarterback do. Also, too, man, I can't give the Rookie of the Year award to somebody unless the numbers just blew me away. But I can't give it to somebody who is sitting on a team with the current 5-10 record and look like they're going to be 5-11 when it comes down to it, because they play Dallas on Sunday. I can't give it to somebody like that. We're currently sitting at 7-7-1, and could possibly be 8-7-1, our first winning record in a long time. And I just can't give the Rookie of the Year, and this is not even being a homer, but it's just facing facts. How you gonna give the Rookie of the Year to somebody on a losing team compared to a rookie who actually has led their team to possibly having a winning record? That's just crazy. So I absolutely agree. I was shocked and surprised when Eric told me this, because I thought with them being in New York, they would pick Saquon. But, I mean, it looks like everybody recognizes the real. So I am cool with that. I am fine with that. Have no issues whatsoever.
The other thing that I think you also have to take in mind, and it's such a stupid cop-out for this type of stuff, but you also have to think about what difference could have been made for if Baker played in those first 2.5 games. I mean, we could be looking at a completely different team. But in any case, that doesn't matter. What I am going to say, though, is it's essentially who's the most valuable rookie. Which one made the biggest difference? It's like the MVP award should be. And the thing is, I think the Giants would still be where they are, even if they didn't have Saquon. You can't say the same about the Browns, because if we didn't have Baker, if we, let's say, took Josh Allen or, God forbid, Josh Rosen, we would not be anywhere close to this. I think we'd still be a sub-500 team.
I mean, that can be debated. I still think that those two rookies that you mentioned have some great skills, especially poor Josh Allen being up there with the Bills. And going through what they've gone through, they really haven't put anybody around him except for McCoy still. Josh Rosen dealing with what he's dealing with. It could be debated. I think that, as we said with other rookie quarterbacks before when we came up with excuses for them, is that we didn't have a team to build around him. And I think Baker came in at the right time, has the right personality for this Cleveland team. And, I think just the stars aligned perfectly. So I'm not even going to, try to speculate on if we had somebody else. I'm just glad Baker's here, and we're good to go there. But we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk Baltimore and what we see over there and what we need to do to win. So, Brownstown, USA, Holiday Edition, New Year, New Browns. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cat Williams, and you are listening to 3 Point Conversion Radio.
All right, and we are back as the lights come on for the Cleveland Browns organization. I'm LA, and across from me is Eric as well. And we're sitting here just chatting it up, holiday edition, New Year, New Browns. But just got done talking about the things trending. We want to preview this Baltimore game. Wow, there's like 3 Bs in this division: Baltimore, Bengals, and Browns. But anywho, we're facing a crazy enough, man, that I understand that we're extremely confident. We're excited about our team. But this is a tough Baltimore team, Eric. Very tough Baltimore team. And we've seen Joe Flacco go out. And, he had been banged up and injured throughout the year. They finally turned to Lamar Jackson, Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson. And, Eric, this was a guy that when he got drafted to the Ravens, I think I remember messaging you and saying, damn, I hate that he's in our division. Because not only we know that Lamar can do it with his legs, but he was able to air it out a little bit last week. And we seen him actually do some things through the air as well. So just wanted to get into that a little bit with you, Eric, and talk about the legend that is becoming Lamar Jackson, man. What do you see from this kid? What's your thoughts?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I was wrong because I thought it was going to be a bust, to be honest. Is there still time? Sure, but it's not looking that way is the big thing. So I was wrong about that. What I am seeing, though, is someone that is special. The question is, with all the speculation that Harbaugh could be on the way out, will he have the same success? I'm not saying that he can't have the same success. Obviously he can. But changing coaches, which it seems like that's been the biggest rumor right now for Baltimore, what will it do ultimately? Because we've seen players come back with a different coach and sometimes do better, such as seeing, I believe it was, Brian Hoyer start his career with Shudzinski and then looking better with Mike Pettin. And we've seen them get worse. Tim Couch, for example, with going from the original coach to Butch Davis. It's a very fine line to walk, but it's the biggest question I have personally.
Absolutely. What I've seen from this guy is, like I said, again, I've been a big Lamar Jackson fan. I knew he wouldn't be a fit for Cleveland, so don't think that I'm thinking that, man, we should have got him. But I knew that wherever he went, as long as it was a good situation, he was going to be okay. The thing about it is that we've seen Baltimore in previous weeks run the crap out of Lamar, and we've seen him get cracked. And I hate to bring it up, but it is what it is. But we've seen this with RG3 and in Washington. And you have to be careful with running a guy like this so much. Well, Lamar is not that big of a guy as far as frame-wise, and it's only going to take one good hit, man, and he can possibly be out. We've seen this with a lot of running quarterbacks in the league, especially in this day and age, because defenders are just as fast. So I think Lamar is a phenomenal athlete. I think that he doesn't get enough credit for how well he can throw, because I still seen people talking about how he should be a wide receiver instead still. And I'm like, no, this is a quarterback, okay, guys? Like, let's chill out. But he's a phenomenal athlete, man, and I think he can do some damage, like you said, with the right scheme and the right coaching, and not running him too much, because every time he runs, it exposes him. So with that being said, Eric, and we've seen this before when we faced the Houston Texans and got absolutely railroaded. We've seen in that game with the Houston Texans how well Deshaun Watson, even though he didn't really take off on us, he was able to still be elusive and evade sacks and scramble and extend the play like how he needed to. And no, I'm not saying Lamar has the same type of arm Deshaun does, because as of right now, Watson still has a better arm than Lamar does. But, Eric, does this concern you, how we have not really been that good against mobile quarterbacks?
Well, yes and no. I mean, first off, I'm just going to say it. Mobile quarterbacks, we're essentially 2-1. I mean, technically 2.5 and 1.5 and 1 against, because I honestly consider Driscoll to be more of a mobile quarterback than a regular quarterback. But the thing is, Driscoll does not have the ability of Lamar Jackson. The big thing is, and I'm going to say this, I think Jackson is going to be going against someone that, honestly, is probably going to be a little better off right now. I mean, look, we watched that Texan game. I'm surprised that you didn't grow hair, and I'm surprised that I'm not bald right now from how much hair I was pulling out. Well, I was expecting you to have a freaking mullet at that point. But the thing is, we saw firsthand how they were unprepared for that game because of how versatile Watson can be. Because Watson was getting out of the pocket, he was teasing runs, and it was getting the linebackers to really bite. You didn't see spies that often. You didn't see the defensive ends going after it and chugging as hard pretty much. I think we're going to see more spies this week. And you know what? I think they'll be better prepared for Lamar Jackson than they were for Deshaun Watson.
Absolutely. Now, going over to the other side of the ball for the Ravens, the defense. This is a top-rated defense. I believe they're the number one defense overall when it comes down to it. We've seen them swallow up the Chargers, a team that we didn't beat. We didn't beat the Chargers. So they swallowed up Melvin Gordon, 12 carries for 41 yards, 3.4 average. Phillip Rivers, very uncharacteristically, would look pedestrian with only 181 yards throwing and no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, and they sacked him 4 times. Now, I feel like Baker will be able to elude some of these sacks because we've seen how magical he can be as far as his pocket presence. However, Phillip is, I would put him in that top 5 conversation on any given day. And we've seen what they did against him. How concerned are you with this Baltimore defense?
Well, whenever we do play Baltimore, there has to be a big level of concern. I mean, look, this is a team that essentially was trained by Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. As much as that we've seen different players just come through that defense and do damage, the fact of the matter is they're connected in some way, and you know what that some way is. The one constant that's been there for almost a decade now, Terrell Suggs. So the thing is, as long as you have Terrell Suggs, you got to be careful with that. That said, it's still a very young defense. And the big thing with them right now, they're actually playing for something. Like, these young guys have not played. This is going to be the biggest game of their careers right now. So,
Right. And we've seen Greg Williams come out and say in his presser that the Browns were treating this as their playoff. Like you said, the implications here is that if Baltimore wins, they get into the playoffs. If they lose, the Steelers get into the playoffs. So this is really, really big for them as well. And definitely going to be concerning because we're going to see the Ravens' best shot here. So a great measuring stick, Eric, to get and see how we are and see if all the hype and everything is warranted. So we'll be definitely looking into that. So when we come back, we are going to be talking about our breakout players of the game that we're going to project for Baltimore. We're also going to talk our score predictions, and that'll be a wrap. So thank you for tuning in and listening to Brownstown USA. We will be right back.
Baker, you guys wanted to get it done. You asked for them to fill this stadium. You asked for them to be loud. They were, and you gave them the win. How did it feel?
It felt great. It starts with the fan support. Called them out, but you guys showed up, so thank you. It's a team game, and you guys are a part of it. Thank you so much for coming out to our last home game. We'll use those momentum and rolling into next year, too.
When you think about what you guys have done now, winning 5 of 6, getting it together, a winning record in this division now with this win here today, what does it mean? What's going on in that locker room that's making this so special?
We got a bunch of guys that believe. They trust each other, they trust our system, and they want to fight for each other. I mean, you see the play out of bounds right there. You see guys that are fighting for each other. That's something special, and it can't be beaten, and I love that.
It's been a lot of fun. Congratulations. Go celebrate with your team. Merry Christmas, man.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Right. Merry Christmas.
And we are back, Brownstown USA, and joined by LA, and across from me is my man Eric. And I said, make sure you check us out. We're on all your social media now. So Facebook, make sure you join the Brownstown USA group. Make sure you answer those questions right in order to gain entry into that.
I know you were having a heart attack over that.
Yes, guys, the last person to go to the Pro Bowl is not Joe Thomas. I'll still give you Joe Schobert as of right now, but it's not Joe Thomas. But you answer those questions right, you will gain access to the Facebook group. We don't just accept anybody and anybody in. Twitter, at Brownstown USA, and on Instagram now, at Brownstown USA. We'll keep you up to date with your latest Browns news. Also, anything funny memes, different things like that. That's what we do.
Hold on, before you continue. Brilliant job with the meme you created. I was laughing my ass off. I showed my dad that. He was dying at the table.
Appreciate that. So, yeah, check out what Eric is talking about on Brownstown USA, Twitter, and Instagram. And we'll continue to keep you up to date and do what we do.
Keep it locked.
So, Eric, breakout player of this game. Who is your breakout player on defense this week?
On defense, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's going to be Jannard Avery. I mean, he had a pretty good game last week. This is going to be the week he's going to need to step up, though. We know Schobert can step up. We know Collins can step up. Avery's going to be the guy that's going to have to pay very close attention to Lamar Jackson, because if he gets by those and that first wave of defenders, he's the only thing stopping him from the secondary. And the thing is, the secondary has not done too great when it's come to somebody that's running an open field like that.
Absolutely. My breakout player on the defense is going to be Jabril. I feel like he's the best, if not the best athlete on our defense, and I feel like there will be some kind of scheme on Jabril spying Lamar Jackson. We've seen Jabril be able to come up to the line and get sacks and be able to run all around. I think they do that. between him and everybody else back there. But I think Jabril's going to be the guy that we absolutely have out there spying. And then it's also going to be on Randall too, to make sure that he can hold that down while Jabril is spying on Lamar. Hopefully that's what they end up doing, because I think he's pretty much the guy that could keep up with Lamar if Lamar shakes loose. So that's my guy. Now on offense, who's your breakout guy?
There's way too many to even choose from right now. I mean, you could go Nick Chubb because he's a few yards, and he's not that far away from 1,000.
I think it's about 24.
Yep. You could go Baker because he's 3 touchdowns away from the record. But you know what? I'm going to say it. The breakout player this week, they're going to need him big time again. I think it's going to be Duke Johnson this week. Last week, Duke had essentially his coming out party for the season. This year, I think he's going to need to do it. And you know what? I'll even give a big prop to Jarvis Landry on this one, just because Landry, he's not going to have another 1,000-yard season, unfortunately. It sucks, but you know what? He knew coming into this was going to be more of a team thing. It was going to be a process. He wasn't going to be the only target like he was in Miami. So the fact of the matter is, I think he's going to have to do it.
The crazy part is that Landry isn't that far from 1,000, though. He's sitting at 874 right now. I mean, you give him 120, 130, he could be right there sniffing at 1,000 yards again. Nick Chubb is sitting at 972 for the year, so I definitely fully expect him to eclipse 1K. The thing that I'm looking at is going to be if Baker can get 3 touchdowns, honestly. I mean, like I said, seeing what the Ravens did against Phillip Rivers, seeing how we can still win a game, Eric, and Baker doesn't throw for that many touchdowns. We've seen some wins with him, having 1 touchdown or having 2. Going to be very interesting to see if he can break out and really shake loose here. Also, too, man, we need these guys to step up as far as on the receivers. We seen Rashard. He even had some plays that was called back due to penalties. And that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about is the fact that this offense, man, we could have a lot more yards. We could have a lot more things going on for it if we weren't so freaking penalty-driven, man. We've seen some penalties just absolutely kill us. So it hasn't been as bad as at the start of the season, of course, but we still seen them really mess us up in some drives. Is that a concern of yours going into this game?
It absolutely has to be a concern, because the fact of the matter is, when you get down to it, if you are, no matter how much good you do, if the ball's going backwards because you messed up, then the point is moot. Jarvis Landry, let's say that he had 1,200 yards. He didn't, obviously, but let's say he did. But let's say that 400 of those yards were called back because of penalties. What's the point? Look, you got to cut down on the penalties, and we can't slide into habits like this. This is what killed This is what killed us in the Hugh Jackson years, because we had over a dozen penalties. You cannot do that, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And so a lot of them were avoidable. Just go back to the Denver game. How many stupid penalties did we have? Not like the player penalties, but the stupid ones, like fighting with people, punching people. How many of those did we see in that one game?
Absolutely. So with that being said, Eric, what everybody's been hoping and wishing for and wanting to hear as we wrap up the show, what is your score prediction for this week?
My score prediction, and this is going to be a big one, I think the Browns are going to win 24-21. I think it's going to come down to one field goal. And I think it's going to come down to the same situation a few years ago when the Browns had the field goal try returned for a touchdown. However, I think this year things are different. I think that Greg Joseph puts it through and he becomes the hero in Cleveland. And that they give him a big old statue. No, they don't give him a statue. But it caps off the ultimate year. The main problem that will stop Baltimore, I believe, will be nerves. And not for nothing. They got good veterans. There's just too many young kids that have never played this big of a game for them. And that's big, especially when one of them is your quarterback.
Understood. I feel like that, that's a good explanation, but I feel like it's the same on the Brown side too. Again, we haven't sniffed playoffs in a long, long time. Then also we have a rookie quarterback as well. So battle of the rookies, battle of the Heisman winners. Big implications. In case you guys didn't know, the game has been flexed. It was at 1:00, but it's been flexed to 4:25. Also, the Steelers game has been flexed to 4:25 as well. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that too, just to see what goes down over there. But as far as my score prediction this week, Eric, I'm gonna keep it real, and I just feel like that Baltimore defense will be too tough for us, and I really feel like the game comes out to be 24-20 Ravens, and the reason being is because I just feel like with Terrell Suggs there, them knowing that if they get into the playoffs, they have a chance to go all the way. We know the two teams in our division that are just absolutely dangerous if they even just get into the playoffs, no matter what seed they are, is the Steelers and the Ravens. And it's just something about them when they sniff that blood, they go after it. So if they have any kind of chance, man, they go in. And so I see as Baltimore, they're looking at the Browns. They're like, look, this is just one obstacle in our way in order for us to be able to get to the playoffs and possibly go towards the Super Bowl in a run. I got to give it to the Ravens 24-20. So, no, that's not what you want to hear, Browns fans, but it is what it is. I'm going to be real. Eric is more optimistic. Either way, I hope that the Browns win, but I'm going to be realistic. So, also, before we end the show, man, I want to give a shout out to another show that is on our amazing network, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Just absolutely killing it over there. He does not only the show, but he uploads his reactions. He's a Saints fan, and the Saints are looking pretty good this year. So he uploads his reactions on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to him on YouTube, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Make sure you subscribe to his show as well. Always putting out content. Also, I think he has a Facebook group as well, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, always posting all the latest news and everything from the three-point conversion as well. So
you just have to watch him dance for like a minute.
Yeah, you do. But, it's entertaining, especially I believe one of his previous videos within this last couple of weeks was Kim Possible was the theme music he was dancing to. So always good for a laugh. And, who knows, man, I might get back on it as well. I used to do that too. So keep a lookout for stuff like that, man. Just want to get out there and get you entertained and also bring the real and bring the noise, as he would like to say. So again, thank you all for listening to Brownstown USA. It's the holiday edition, New Year, New Browns. And when we come back to you guys, it won't be New Year's. Well, yeah, it probably will be New Year's when we talk to you guys again. But if anything, as always, be safe, drink responsibly if you are a drinker, and do your thing, man.
Absolutely. Be responsible and don't be, for lack of a better word, don't be a douche.
There you have it. Don't be a douche. So, as always, I'm LA, and across from me is Eric, and we are signing off. Brownstown, USA.
Brownstown, USA. We'll see you next week. And remember, don't be a douche.
But the weekend starts now, an AFC North fight. It's the Browns and the Ravens on Thursday night, so let's go.